Is Kat Barrett. I'm a public information officer with the Department of Public Safety. I support our State Fire Marshal Division. We're going to start today by hearing from Jody Ryan, who's with the State Fire Marshal's Office. Then we'll hear from Director Allison Ferroli with Homeland Security and Emergency Management. Then Ben Kinney will speak on behalf of Task Force 1. He's the administrator who was directing the team from back here. Then we'll open it up for questions for the team who was in Texas. So now I will give it to Jody.
Good morning. My name is Jody Ryan. I'm the State Emergency Response Team's supervisor with Minnesota DPS, State Fire Marshal Division. I want to start by thanking the members of Task Force 1 for their hard work and dedication these last 2 weeks assisting in the aftermath of devastating floods in Central Texas. They left their families, their day jobs, and the comfort of their homes to work in dangerous and unpredictable conditions. We're proud of the work they've done and the way they represented Minnesota and our first responders. We know they made a difference for the people and the communities impacted. Task Force 1 is one of two of our that are operational within the state of Minnesota. These teams can assist with searching for victims in structural collapses. They can perform wide area searches, technical rescue, and provide advanced medical care. Task Force 1 is equipped for 24-hour operations and can work in any disaster area, including those with little or no infrastructure. These teams receive strategic direction and funding from the State Fire Marshal Division, their own joint powers authorities that are comprised of a number of municipalities and private organizations, many of which you see here today. I want to once again commend these men and women for their tireless work on this deployment and others, both past and future. I'm now hand it over to Homeland Security and Emergency Management Director Allison Ferroli to explain how these teams are invited to provide assistance to other states. Thank you.
Good afternoon. As mentioned, I'm Allison Ferroli, the Director of HSEM here in the state of Minnesota. So with these type of teams that we send out to other places like Texas, this is all in part of what's called EMAC, the Emergency Management Assistance Compact. And this is a nationally adopted state-to-state mutual aid compact that was signed into federal law in 1996. All states here in the United States are part of that, and Minnesota became part of that compact in 1998. This gives the states the ability to request assistance when resources have been exhausted at the state level, just as it was here in Texas, to where then they are able to look around at other states asking for support, as we were able to provide a few weeks ago. The Homeland Security Emergency Management Division did receive a EMAC request from Texas. They were looking for human remain detection K-9 teams, and that came in on July 6th to support the mission that they had into finding those that were missing. Texas accepted our offer on July 11th, and then our team came back on July 26th. We utilized relevant state agencies like the Fire Marshal's Office, as mentioned, to deploy the Michigan Task Force 1 and 2 for this request. And this is just one component of EMAC that we can provide through the Homeland Security and Emergency Management Division. And really, at the end of the day, this really demonstrates the importance of EMAC and this ability across the country for states to help each other during catastrophic incidents such as what happened in Texas. So again, this really goes into showing what states do and the role that we have during major disasters. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Ben to give some more details.
Hello, my name is Ben Kinney. I'm the administrator for Minnesota Task Force 1. I've been asked to explain a little bit more about how Task Force 1 is comprised and how the team was comprised. So Minnesota Task Force 1 is made up of 5 primary agencies: Minneapolis, St. Paul Fire Departments, Dakota County Special Operations, Rochester Fire, and Edina Fire, as well as many sponsoring agencies. So we had representatives on this deployment from Apple Valley Police Department through Dakota County SOT, Rochester Fire Department, and our K-9 team comprised of volunteers from Minnesota K-9 Search Specialists. It's a partnering agency that we get our K-9s from. And so we just want to thank all of the agency's commitments to the team and allowing us to go on this deployment. This deployment will offer us the availability to learn and better prepare for future events in Minnesota and nationwide. So with that, I'll give it back to Kat.
Thanks, Ben. So now we'll open it up for questions. If you would like to direct your question specifically to one of the people on my right, feel free to do that. Otherwise, the team is here to answer questions about their deployment. And then team, if you want to repeat the question that's asked to you so that anyone watching the recording knows what's being asked. Thank you.
You know, I think a lot of people here in Minnesota saw the images, and I mean, it looked awful to us, and so I can't imagine what it was like seeing it up close. Can you share a little bit about your experience when you arrived there and what you saw?
My name is Brian Plants. I'm with Minnesota Task Force 1. I was a search team manager for this mission. And the question was, can you describe what the photos and the videos look like compared to in person? And the photos and videos don't do it justice. Stepping into the theater where the floods happen, it's just a completely different world. The amount of devastation and destruction down there is hard to describe.
And what exactly,
We operated in several different areas. They had all the search areas divided into divisions. Our first mission was in Travis County, which was on Big Sandy. We were embedded with a different task force, like a larger Type 3 task force down there. So our first mission was with Illinois, and we would provide canine support for them. So they would send out rows of searchers and rescue squads to walk lines and check in person, and then we would go either ahead of them or follow behind them with the canine teams to clear and search big piles. The river just left enormous piles of debris and sticks and twigs, and there was propane cylinders up in trees, and the destruction there was just massive. So having the canines there to partner with, to have them be able to clear those piles and definitively say that we can move past this, we can say that there's not a human remains inside that pile, was just critical to the mission. So a big part of our team was just to support those bigger task forces and provide those answers so that they knew operationally exactly where we needed to focus our resources, and having the canines narrow down that mission was incredibly critical to the mission.
your conditions, like were you guys able to get any sleep? You know, how exactly were you navigating this whole mission?
Well, to come from Minnesota and the weather up here down into the Texas heat was definitely a change for us. It was hot, it was humid, the sun was out most days. So we did work long, hard days, and depending on where we were searching, the second operational period that we had in this hotel division was further downriver, and we were working next to a 3,700 acre ranch. We got to know the ranch hand there. His name was Rudy. He was very helpful to get us into the right positions to be successful. That mission down there had a lot more land and area to cover, so we were focused on wide area searches and just kind of mile after mile on steep terrain. The river banks were very steep, climbing over piles through tributaries. It was very difficult walking conditions. Later on, once we kind of cleared those areas, we shifted up into what they called Charlie and Delta divisions, which were more in the city of Kerrville, right in the heart of things. Those conditions were a little bit more flat and had already been processed by numerous search teams and canines. So we were going back and doing secondary checks in those areas just to ensure that we'd covered all of our bases. And then we were tied with water patrol, and they were doing dive teams, just a whole mass of operations working together to solve the mission.
How does this compare to other missions that you've been on?
Typically around here, we are doing wide area searches for one missing person. We've done several of those operations. A lot of the skills and knowledge that we use in those were very applicable down in Texas, but the scale of the mission down there was just something we couldn't train for. But kudos to the team, to the task force, to the state organizations, local leadership, all our friends and family back home to give us the opportunity to go down and make a difference. It was very, very helpful.
Now that the mission is over and on the way back, how do you decompress? What do you tell yourself to get back into normal life?
Well, we had a couple days to drive back home, so we had time to kind of like slow roll back into life, and that was kind of a big part of the ICS mission, is that decompression time and that demobilization is the most important part. So we had a good conversation here. We've got resources to help with mental health aftercare and those kinds of things to support first responders. That's been a big part of public safety in today's world. So having access to those and just making sure that we text each other and call and have those resources to check in has been very important.
How many other states
From what I saw, there was 26 other states that assisted on this, and when I looked at the dashboard down there, there was 1,250 search and rescue people operating with approximately 75 canine HR teams down there. From what I understand, there's 90 or so teams like that in the state, and we had about 75 of them down there working.
So you really haven't seen anything like this before?
Not to this scale. The numbers that I've heard, somewhere around $200 billion worth of damage and structures, and yeah, like we can't train for that here. So I give all the credit to the team, the canines, the handlers. Like, we were told very clearly down there that this is a marathon. We want to make sure we operate safely so that we can continue to work day after day. We had all the support of all these other teams. I think we worked with 8 or 10 other task forces around the country that just took us in and helped support us on a first mission like this.
Did you get a chance to talk to the locals there?
Absolutely. They were coming through all the time, providing support. We had our own emergency management center, but then there was locals at the different businesses, and a vet clinic down there brought us cooling mats and a cooling fan for the dogs. There were people that were just driving through, checking in and saying hi and stopping to say thanks. Food everywhere. It's just all the support that we needed to do our jobs was all there for us. And so that was critical to the mission as well. Lots of support down in Texas.
How'd the dogs do?
The dogs were rock stars. They were outstanding. It was more that we had to hold the dogs back because they're so driven and they wanted to keep going. But we learned very early on that you need to give them like a 30-minute work cycle and then 5-minute break and get them down and cooled off. So learning that over the first few days, it's all good information for us to have as we train going forward to deal with that heat and humidity down there.
And what else have you learned from this experience as a team? You guys have done stuff together before?
We've worked locally together before, but I think what we understand now is that the amount of resources and coordination and command and the structure in an EMAC request like this, all of those pieces of the puzzle are there. And so now we have a better idea of how to start out and operate. And we have brought back, I've got pages of notes on checklists and equipment to buy ahead of time. I think the first week or so that we were down there, it was a lot of times just going out to source extra supplies, foot care, bug spray, sunscreen, all those kinds of things. We had those, but we needed more. So we were going out to find those things, and now we know that those are available in command posts and fuel and how to get those kinds of things. We have a lot better idea how to be prepared going in the next time. So we're excited to continue to be available as a state and to have the support of all these state and local and county agencies to send us down there. We'll be even more prepared next time. I was very, very happy with the team and how we operated. We're just looking forward to the opportunity to provide that help from Minnesota again.
Anything hit your heart deeply from this whole experience?
Yeah, I was surprised to see the number of family photographs that we would find. We were walking in our first deployment. There was a gentleman who was out there with just a chainsaw as a private citizen, and he had put on like 60 miles on his Strava account walking around. And he actually helped to chainsaw our stuck UTV out of a little creek crossing at one point. He had collected about 100 photographs of just families, memorabilia, and was like collecting those to pass on back up the chain to help the Texas recover. So.
Any other questions? Anyone else want to share anything at all with the team?
Experiences or things that you take with you or bring back to Minnesota to tell people? Come on, Chad, you're the PR guy. That's real stash off. I want to be down at Old Cape Corral. You lead Kurt Russell.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. My name is Chad Kuhlman. I'm a medical specialist and a part of the task force. One of the things that I took away is relationship building, meeting as many of the other team members from different states and different organizations that are down there. Some of them are closer to our area than not, and I think it's important for us to go ahead and build those relationships early as possible, and to be able to potentially use those in a later time. Yeah.
About the canine handlers at all to talk about the dogs? They've got
you already asked, but I was gonna say how they handle the different geography and everything like that. How much different are they? And does it matter to them where they are?
They seem happy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're happy to do that.
I think the dogs were happy to work wherever. It was more like the heat that was hard to keep them.
I think they
Right.
want, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You can stay on that side.
With the canines and just handling the conditions, I think it was, like I said, about the heat and the work rest cycles with them. And I was just continually impressed at how hard they worked and how driven they were. And it was more about holding them back to make sure that they stayed within their temperature range and had their veterinary care accounted for. Royal here got bit by fire ants, was overheating, needed fluids, and had to go to the vet. And the people in Texas just took excellent care of them. So it turns out also that she had a broken toe, and so to have her work through that and continue on the mission was just outstanding. So we were there to support the dogs and follow them, and I have all the praise for this team to do everything they could to support those canines. And like I said, it was more about that marathon and making sure we could operate day after day so that we could be effective the whole time that we were deployed.
Central command to the front line, how was communication and all that with all the different teams?
It varied. When we were out on the front line, depending on where we were, in that division in hotel where there was big bluffs and steep access down to the river, there was not good radio contact. So we were embedded with Alabama and Tennessee task forces that day, and they didn't put their boats out until they had communications set up. So having the right access and repeaters, they had to work on that problem. We were able to go out and do our ground searches, but they couldn't operate on boats until they established that for the safety. Outside of that, every part of this operation was well run from command down. We knew where we needed to be. I was able to contact our rescue squad leaders and task force leaders, and just information passed back and forth very freely, and they had a very, very effective operation there.
Is there any one thing that tugged at your heartstrings that you could, you or any one of you guys that really you'll remember the rest of your life?
I will just remember the personal stories of people that came up and thanked us. The community down there was just so appreciative of us and the other task force members that were down there, the search and rescue. Those photographs that we saw, we, out of respect for the families, we didn't photograph or share those, but to collect those and have those hopefully get reunited in the massive scale of that. Like, they were able to go through and for that one citizen to find 100 photographs as he's out walking to be able to collect those really stuck out in my head. And the amount of the scale and the scope of how large this actually was. When I looked in the command post, they had a map up on the wall that showed 100 miles of the Guadalupe River that needed to be searched. And then you have to do river right and river left, so you have to be on both sides. So the pictures and the videos that you see in the news, they don't do it justice when you walk in and just see huge trees tipped over and everything turned upside down, and concrete posts that are set 2 or 3 feet into the ground completely tore up. It was unbelievable.
That was from flash flooding too. I mean, a lot of times I hear the teams going to hurricane areas, maybe wildfires, and so do you think it was just really surprising to know that happened from flash flooding?
I was surprised at the scale of it, yeah. The places that we were operating, we would be just walking down what looked like a park, except it had piles of debris. But then you would look up in a tree 4 or 5 feet up and realize that the water was even 6 or 8 feet above you and flooded into a field where a campsite was. And that fence on that field was even covered in debris. So it's hard to process just how much water went through there in such a quick amount of time. The scale of it, I can't describe how massive it was, and that many miles. And we were in one of 3 major divisions that were working on the same problem. So,
What missions have you guys done back home here? Like, what's some of the work that you've done in Minnesota?
do you want to field that one?
So our most recent mission was we went to Sabika, Minnesota to assist the Wadena County Sheriff Department in recovering an individual from a radio tower. We've done numerous technical rescues, like Brian said, numerous wide area searches. Our team responded to the 35W bridge collapse, the Minnehaha Academy explosion, those types of incidents that would overwhelm the local resources, where we can come in and assist with subject matter experts, specialized equipment, and being able to be off the grid and not take away from the local agencies' communications or logistical needs is super helpful statewide.
Any dog handlers?
Do the dogs have comments?
Yeah, they wonder where their toy is.
Yeah.
Who's got their toy? Who's got their food?
Honestly though, how do you keep them, trained? Cause you know, there's not a crisis every single day. Like, how do you keep them on top of their skills?
Finally got her.
Yes, so we train, I can say, and our canine coordinator, we train at least once a week with our team, and then quarterly with the task force. And then personally, I train every day because I have a Malinois and she loves to work. But I can say that all of our canine handlers, we train at least once a day, and then obviously weekly with our task force.
Is this Royal?
This is Royal, yep.
So Royal had a broken toe
Yep.
and kept going.
Yeah, so Teeks down there, Texas A&M vets, every day we got vet checked to make sure that she was able to continue working. She also got acupuncture, and they just did a bunch of caring for them, and they were just awesome down there to keep our dogs working and able to keep going.
And tell us about the relationship you have with your dog. I understand that, you know, it's like family, right?
Yeah, well, we work together almost every day, so we have a pretty deep bond, I'd say. And she'll do just about anything for me, and I'll same thing for her.
I think question might also have you talk about where you train, how you prepare for that. Because it's hard to find places for you guys to train that allow the dogs to do the physical stuff, so the rubble piles and the dump areas and all that. Talk about that.
Yeah, so she's asking about where we train. Rochester has a rubble pile they have for us. Also, we train here at Empire where all of our agility equipment is. And we also have a small rubble pile to make sure that they can traverse different areas. And then we also go to like large slash piles of wood or like wreckers' yards where there's a bunch of